Alright, so we're going to install some steps today. Start with the risers. So we've got our 8 steps, 8 risers rather, all laid out. Just roughly laid out. We're going to start at the top and then work our way down. Although we're going to space them, we're going to do some more accurate measurements once we... Actually, I'm going to do the top one and the bottom one, and then we'll space the other ones in between. Yeah. Alright, so we're starting on our top step. I removed some of the rocks that were here because we won't need them, so I put them over here. Maybe we can use them somewhere else. I might put a rock here, take one of the flatter ones and put it right in there. Probably will. But in any case, we want to have our first riser right in this area. And then I cut, I had some old fence boards and on my wood pile, so I'm going to use those up first. I cut one 2 feet across. That's how wide our risers are. And so we're going to have to bury the riser into the ground, which we want to do anyway. And then this level here needs to be right at this level. We are going to be backfilling this with gravel, so it'll have some support hanging off the back of. Because if you look at this, there's we're going to have a little bit of a lip here on the front to cover up. We're going to have a board on the front as a fascia. Then we're going to have a lip. We're going to have a little bit of a overhang here. Not too much because we don't want this snapping off. So it'll probably just be equal with the fascia. But in any case, there's some maybe 3.5, 4 inches hanging off the back of the riser. So we want to have some. We're going to put gravel under here as support, but then it also have drainage, so the water won't accumulate right in behind the riser and underneath the step. Okay, so we're going to have to dig down. So how do we do that? That's what we'll go over next. Okay, so we're using 2 tools to dig. We're going to be using our trenching spade or shovel. I guess it's a spade, because this can make a nice even dig at a little bit more than the width of the riser, which is good. And then to finish things off, we're going to be using our trowel. And to make sure everything's level, we're going to use our level. We'll put the level on the bottom of the pocket for the riser, and we'll make sure everything is level. Okay, so we're going to start digging down, and then we'll see how far down we need to dig to get this riser so that the top of it is in level with the, or close to the level of the rocks above it. All right, we've gone down about as far as we want, so we can do a test fit. So it needs to go down farther on this side, but we've got this side is about the right depth. So now we're going to use our level to get the bottom of this pocket level for the riser. We want it sitting on a level surface. So it's really handy that this is exactly the same width as our step, 24 inches. So at this point we're going to start using the trowel. It's more accurate, it's easier to control, and dig this out so that it's flat. We can also, from the high areas we can dig some out and then put it over in the low area, and that'll flatten it out too. So let's check our level again, see if we're still level. Yep. Yeah, this is perfectly level now. So this is where we want our riser. I'm gonna go like this to compact the dirt underneath so it has a nice solid base. All right, so now we've got our riser at the right position, and now we need to drill some holes so we can drive the rebar through it. So that's our next step. Unfortunately, my microphone went out for this section, so I'll be doing a voiceover. So I'm going to use a 1/2 inch spade bit, super long, so it'll go all the way through both boards. I'm using my drill driver set on 2 with a drill setting. So main thing is I want to make sure that it's perpendicular to the board and go all the way through. For safety equipment, I'm wearing safety glasses. And I'm going to wear a mask because I'm drilling into pressure-treated wood. So at the very end of the bit, it's got a screw starter pin, which is kind of nice. So again, I'm making for sure it's vertical. So the 1/2 inch, that's the diameter of the rebar. As you'll see later, that's I need to make it a little bit bigger than that. So I made it all the way through that time. I flip it around and I got to drill the other side, and I have trouble getting all the way through because I ended up hitting some of the actually on this one I didn't have a problem. On one of the other ones I did later, I had a problem where I hit some of the construction adhesive, and this particular drill bit couldn't make it all the way through that, so that was a problem. So you see where it came out there? That one came out right in the middle. The one on the other side came out slightly off center. But I want to make sure that's pointed toward the back, so it'll go into the hillside. So I'm starting with the top riser. I want to make sure it's level. And I'm checking to see the fitting of the step on top of it. As you can see, the rock on the left is causing a problem because it's sticking into it. I'll fix that later. So because we drilled into the wood, the pressure treated wood, and now there's wood that's not pressure treated that's exposed by that drill, I decided to go ahead and pour in some of the wood preservative into the hole. That also acts as a lubricant to make it easier to drive the rebar in. So I was a little bit sloppy there, but it's all right. A little extra isn't going to hurt anything. All right, so I'm going to drive my first rebar in, and I kind of work it in to get it started. Then I use my 5-pound sledge to pound it in part way. I don't want to pound one side all the way in because then it'll be offset. It'll be tilted to one side. So I want to work both sides in sequence. Do some on one side, then some on the other side. So getting this one started. And I noticed that hitting that rebar with that sledgehammer got really noisy, so I decided to put on ear protection. So that's a good hint. Use ear protection. Yeah. Make sure it's on. Okay. Okay, so keep pounding away. Get part way through. I wanted to get each rebar so that it was part way into the ground. Then before I finish it off, I want to make sure it's still level because I was pounding the ground, so it could have been off center. So now at this point, I can use two hands. A lot easier to use two hands. And you notice I'm alternating left and right to keep it from tilting to one side or the other too much. So it's going in the ground at least half the length of the rebar, which is good, which is about twice or more the height of the riser. So I'm going to put that rock back where I took it out, but first I'm going to move the gravel out of the way. Because we need to support the steps on the back side so that they don't tip backwards and or break off. So because there's a big overhang on the back. So that rock is too big. So and that footing there coming off of the fence means I can't put that rock back in there, so I have to find a smaller rock, which I do in a few minutes here. So that fits okay now, so I need to find a smaller rock. So I found a smaller rock from over there. And that'll put it in there. So that'll help support the step so that it's supported in the front by the riser and on the back by rocks and gravel. So you also need to fill in behind the rocks, in between the rocks and the riser with gravel. And also in the front, we want to make sure that the front is pushed up, but also there's going to be a fascia board in front, so we need to leave room for the fascia board in the front. I'll show that in a second. So that's the board on top. The same board is going to be same type of board. It's going to be on the front. All right, so as the water comes down the hill, you want it to hit the gravel and then stop and then drop down and not push up against the riser. So we don't want heavy clay soil putting pressure on the back of the riser because that's going to cause the steps to tilt down the hill, which is going to make them not as safe as they would be. So filling that area with gravel. I do that on every riser. And then checking those. I should have cleared off the gravel that was on the top of the board there, but I didn't do that yet. I'll do it eventually. So Just spread it around. Get a good packed in there reasonably well. I still left some gravel there, but anyway. Alright, so now you can step on it, so that's good. It's a little bit rocky still, so we need to put a little bit more gravel in there to make sure it's fully supported. A few more sprinkles. Alright, so now that's a fully supported step. That's just a test step. So now here I'm talking about how I tried to drill through this one, but I ended up hitting the construction adhesive. So I probably should have got it farther away from the edge, or closer to the edge, so I wouldn't hit the construction adhesive, but anyway. So I got out my other drill, my 1/2 inch drill, and put a, this is actually, I think a slightly, maybe that is a 1/2 inch. I thought it was maybe 5/8 drill, I think. Make it a little easier to drive in the rebar. Making sure that I'm not going to hit the ground with the end of the bit. So I just want to make it through the construction adhesive. So this is a much more powerful drill than my drill driver. So it's a 1/2 inch drill, and that's a titanium bit. So make it all the way through. So now I'm working on the very last riser. I mean the one at the bottom of the hill. So I did the one at the top of the hill. I did the one at the bottom of the hill. So I'm going to fill that area again in with gravel, just like the other one. I think I used, for these 8 steps, I used 2 bags, I think they're 30 pounds of gravel, I think, in a bag. I think it's maybe 1 cubic foot, something like that. So I used 2 bags and had some left over for this project. So okay, so we need some more gravel behind there. It's not really supported in the back yet, so we need to add some more. This time I cleared all the gravel off of the riser, so now it's well supported. And then we don't want gravel leaking out the side, so we're going to put a rock along the right side. First we're going to put some more dirt in there to shore it up a little bit, and then we're going to put that rock back. So that keeps the gravel. For the step on the bottom, there was nothing really on the side of each of the steps. I put a rock on each side. So now I have the first and last riser done. They look kind of off center, like the one on the bottom is tilted slightly to the left, but that's because the hill slopes there, so it kind of starting a curved set of steps. All the other steps are laid out equally up the hill. That's what those little green stakes are for. Oh, one more thing, I ended up doing them top to bottom because when you're working on the step you're going to be kneeling, so I didn't want to have a step below me while I was kneeling, so I'm working from the top down to the bottom. Another tip, save you some trouble maybe. Alright, we're done. So I ended up, I had to cut a couple more rebar sections I miscalculated, so that didn't take too long. Anyway, the next step is to put gravel behind each step to keep the mud from flowing down. So that's what we'll do next. And then it's going to rain again in a couple days, so by then, with the gravel in, that should make everything fine. And things will settle in a little bit, and then we'll come back later when it dries out completely, and we'll start putting in the fence boards for the top of the step and the front of the step. So far, so good. I ended up making this distance from this first step to the second step a little bit longer because this is pretty flat right here. Pretty flat. This is the steepest section, so I put these a few inches closer together. So the rest of them are pretty equally spaced. And I should have no problem walking up the hill. In fact, let's try it. Yeah, it's an easy stride to go up and down the hill. So. All right, looking good. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Post a comment if you have any questions or ideas, and I'll try to respond. That's all for now, but more videos are coming, and if you want to see them, please subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification icon if you don't want to miss one. This is Beta Cygni signing out, and keep looking up.